Good afternoon, class. Good afternoon. It's been a while. This afternoon, we want to quickly look at bearing and distance. And my name is Olaitan Bello once again. I want to consider the topic, bearing and distance. We have looked through the sine and cosine rule, where we use sine rule and cosine rule in solving some problems pertaining to triangles. Now I want to look at the application of the sine and cosine rule to bearing and distance. But before that, we have to talk about what bearing and distance is all about. To start with, we have bearing. Before you can talk about bearing, you have to consider the cardinal points in a compass and where you have the north, the south, the west, and the east. Having said that, in bearing, the reference is always on the north and south pole, where east and west are used to describe the direction of the points. Having said that, we have the pole, we have the north, the south, the west, and the east. For this major direction, we have the minor ones, where we have the northeast, we have the southeast, we have the southwest, and we have the northwest. Having seen the four cardinal points, the northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest divide the angles into right angle, where you have the minor cardinal points. Now, when you talk about bearings, bearing is used to describe journey. For instance, you have this, you have the airplane and the ship sailing on a bearing of 135 degrees, while the airplane flying on a bearing of 225 degrees. Now, before we go ahead, we want to look at the relationship between the 3 digits and compass bearing. One, you have the first direction. Talking about the first direction, you have the north, the south, the west, and the east. What's the first direction? The first direction is the northeast. And if we say northeast as the first direction, rotating from the north, you have 25 degrees. How is this written in compass form? You have it as what? Northeast. That is north 25 degrees east. So north 25 degrees east is the compass form. Y0 25 degrees is the 3-digit form. We have the second direction, which is southeast, sorry. We have north, south, west, and east. That's the direction. The second direction, which is southeast, look at that angle. That angle is 125 degrees. And for you to represent this in compass form, you have to look at the remaining angle coming from the south to east. That is 55 degrees. So the relationship is what? South 55 degrees east is the same thing as 125 degrees as the 3-digit bearing. So having seen the first and second direction, let's look at the third direction. We have southwest. And then the southwest, we have what angle? 200 degrees. And 200 degrees can be written in compass form. For you to get what? From the south, moving to that direction is 20. Because moving from the north pole here down to the south pole, you have 180 degrees. So the leftover angle to meet up with 200 is 20. So you have that to be what? South, 20 degrees west. That gives us 200 degrees in 3 digits form. So the fourth direction, you have the northwest. Let's look at a particular angle here. What's the angle? 300. What is 300 in compass form? You have to consider the leftover coming from the north pole. And what is that? 60 degrees. So writing that in compass form, you have not 60 degrees west is the same thing as 300 degrees. So bearing describe a clockwise movement. Clockwise movement from the north pole of the source point. This describes bearing. Bearing, you have what? The angle. You have the measure from the north pole. You have the what? A clockwise movement, and must either be written in 3 digits on compass form. Now the types, that is the 3 digits and the what? The compass bearing. Let's look at some 3 digits bearing and their compass form. You have that as example 1. You have 49 degrees. The compass is north 49 degrees east. You have 100 degrees. That is 3 digits. The compass is south 80 degrees east. You have 200 degrees. The compass is south 20 degrees west. And you have 340 degrees. The compass is north 20 degrees west. Let's quickly look at this as activity. Okay, you have the following. You can pause and tell us the answer. Pause and check the answer. Quickly do that. Are you done with that? Okay, let's look at the solution. The compass of the first one is north 60 degrees east. The second one, you have south 60 degrees east. The third one, you have south 10 degrees west. The fourth one, you have north 30 degrees west. And the last one, what do you have? You have south 31 degrees east. What do you get? 5. That's a very good one. If you didn't get 5, you need to move back and check the previous example and look at it again. Now, let's look at our observation. I have said previously that bearing is a clockwise movement from the north pole and can be written in either 3 digits or compass form. Let's look at how we get the bearing of B from A. Look at A as a point. And if A is a point, then we want to what? Find the bearing of B from A. A is the source point. So you have to get the location from the north pole of A. Bring your compass up. Now measure from your compass clockwise. What do we have? One is that we have 54 degrees. So the bearing of B from A is 54 degrees. Can you see that? Look at the second one. The bearing of E from D. D is the source point. And you have to go to D to locate the north pole. After you locate the north pole from D, then let's bring our compass. We have our compass from the north pole. What is that angle to E? We have 136 degrees. That's the bearing of E from D is 136 degrees. Look at this last one. The bearing of H from G. Go to G. You have your compass. What is that angle? That angle is 69 degrees. You know, that is bearing of H from G is 69 degrees. For you to now get the bearing of G from H, you have to go back to H. And going back to H, you get your straight line from the north pole. That will give you 180 degrees. And once I give 180 degrees, you now go back to the what? To the south and rotate it clockwise. You know, you have 68 degrees. That is, you now add the two together. Once you add the two together, you have 248 degrees. So the bearing of G from H, H now the source point, you have it to be what? 248 degrees. Now let's look at some question on bearing. If the bearing of A from B is 25 degrees, what is the bearing of B from A? what you have to note is that B is the source point, and the angle involved is 25 degrees. The direction is the northeast region. So what you have to do is to what? Place your source point, which is B. And if that is B, the north pole of B is that. What's the angle involved? 25. So draw your line. When you draw your line, you have the 25 degrees. That's point what? Point A. So from point A, you draw your what? Your north pole, and then you have to locate that 25, which is alternate angles. So from the north pole of A, you have 90, you have 90 and 25. So adding the three together, you have what? 205 degrees, which is the bearing of B from A. Let's see another one. If the bearing of Y from X is 125, what's the bearing of X from Y? What you have to note is the source point, which is X. And the angle involved is 125. The direction, you should know that is what? Southeast region. So you have to place your what? Your source point, which is X, up. And you have from the north pole, your angle, that is 125. So if that's 125, what you have is your line running to Y. So when you get to Y, you have your Y there. The north pole of Y, running the north pole from Y. So you have your 90 degrees, you have 35 degrees. That is what make up 125 degrees. So the alternate angle of that 35, you have it there. Then you have to what? 90, 90, and 90. When you add all this together, you have 90 plus 90 plus 90. That's 270 plus 35. That gives us 305 degrees. Therefore, bearing of X from Y is what? 305 degrees. Let's look at another one. If the bearing of 205, the bearing of P from Q is 205, what is the bearing of Q from P? Let me pause a while. While you quickly do this, see what your answer really is. Okay? Do this very quickly. Okay, if you have done that, then let's see what that will give us. We have our knot. Take that down and check that out. You have your answer. Now let's see this activity again. Okay, quickly do this. I'm putting your answer very quickly, under 2 minutes. Once you are done with that, you pause and look at the answer. The answer to the first one is 245. To the second one is option C, 305. Third, you have 30 degrees. The fourth, you have 130 degrees. Now, we want to complete a triangle. A is due north of B. The bearing of C from A is 115 degrees. The bearing of C from B is 75 degrees. Mark the position of C on the diagram. Now you have A due north of B. That is B down there. And as A is due north of B, you have A up here. So the bearing of C from A is 115. So you have to go towards A. Mark your 115, then you draw your line. When you draw your line, you go to C, or B, sorry. You mark your 75 degrees and you draw a line. Where the two lines intersect, you have that as your what? As your point C. where you need to mark. I hope that is well understood. Let's see another question. Measure the bearing of B from A. Point C is southwest of A. And west of B. Mark position of C on the diagram. You can see that. Mark B with a straight line, join A with B, and the north pole of A, you have your what? You have your angle, which is 137. From A as well, southwest. From B, you have the west, which point will give you C. Let's see how this is applicable to a real question now. A is due north of B. The bearing of C from A is 115 degrees. The bearing of C from B is 75 degrees. If point A is 17 kilometers apart from B, calculate correct to one decimal place distance AC. You have to go to A, get your angle, that is 115 degrees. Go to B, get your angle, that's 75 degrees. When you mark that to be what? Point C, and AB is 17 kilometers. What you have to do is to add the angles together. You have 65. How do you get that? You have 65, and what you have the angle here to be 115 degrees. And if that is 115 degrees, you have angle A here to be 65. And see that? So angle B, already you have it to be what? 75 degrees. So when you have 75 degrees here, what you do is to add the three angles together, which is A plus B plus C, giving us 180 degrees. So adding the two angles together, you have 140. We subtract 140 from 180, and we still give us 40 degrees. So if C is 40 degrees, what we want to calculate is AC. So if C is 40 degrees, we want to calculate AC. And to calculate AC, AC represents small b. You can see that. And from our previous lessons, we've seen that if we have an angle with the corresponding opposite side, and we need to calculate another side, giving us a particular angle, what we use is sine rule. So using our sine rule, we have B over sine B equals C over sine C. Substituting for that, we have B over sine 75 equals 17 over sine 40. So multiply both sides by what? Sine 75. You have 17 over sine 40 times sine 75. So press your machine, your B, which is AC, give us 25.5 kilometers. Now let's see another question. A ship travels from A to B on a bearing of 45 degrees, then from B to C on a bearing of 140 degrees. The ship is then 13.6 kilometers east of A. You have to find the distance AB. And looking at the question, you have to get a source point. What's your source point? The source point is A, from A, and 45 to B. And getting to B, you have the north pole of B. 140 to C. And C is due east of A. Can you see that? And you have that AC is 13.6 kilometer. So we want to find the distance AB. So if that is 45, that will be 45 degrees. And if the angle there is 140, the remaining part will be 140 degrees. And you have here to be what? 50 degrees. Called the what? Interior angles. And if you add that together, that will give us 85 degrees. What do we need to do? We want to calculate distance AB. Using what? Using your sine rule. And using the sine rule, you have AB over sine C equals AC over sine B. Substituting that, you have AB over sine 15 equals 13.6 over sine 85. Multiply both sides by sine 15, you have 13.6 over sine 85. Multiply by what? Sine 50. Press that, you have 13.6 over 0.9962 times 0.660. So if you multiply that together and divide, you have your AB equals to 10.5 kilometer. I hope this is well understood. You can see that we are using sine rule in getting a particular side. Now, let's look at this very quickly. I want you to do this. And when you do it, I'll give you a minute to do it. And after that, you check for the correction. The ship travels from A to B on a bearing of 30 degrees, then from B to C on a bearing of 125 degrees. The ship is then returned 11.6 kilometers on a bearing of 260 degrees. We have to find the distance AB. Let's look at the solution. So you have from point A, North Pole, you have 30 degrees. Point B, North Pole of point B, you now have 125 degrees. To point C. Getting to point C, North Pole of C, you have another angle which is what? 260 degrees. That is to A. So you have A to C is 11.6 kilometers. Extending that line, you have the remaining part there to 55 degrees. Alternate angle, 55 degrees. Then you have 30 left there, as you have the alternate angles to be 30. So you have 45 left here. And you have to add that together, giving you 85 degrees. So if you add the three angles together, you have the third one to give you 50 degrees. Using sine rule, when you use your sine rule, you substitute. When you substitute, you have that's 45 degrees and 85 degrees. So multiply both sides by that. So you have 0.7071, and your AB gives us 8.2 kilometers, which is what we are asked to calculate. I want to use this medium to say a big thank you for watching. For inquiries on any question, you can reach out to us via WhatsApp on that particular line. This is 080 32820724 for inquiries. Thank you very much. Stay blessed. Have a nice day.